A clip of Stephen A. Smith's daughter Samantha and LeBron James's son Bryce has been making the rounds again online, and the reaction from Stephen A. himself has people talking.
What?
I'm joking.
You better be.
So let's get into what exactly happened between Samantha and Bryce, how Stephen A. responded in real time, and why the footage keeps going viral. The moment that broke Stephen, a Smith on his own podcast. It started like any other episode of the Stephen A. Smith Show. Stephen A. was sitting behind the mic, his daughter Samantha was sitting next to him as the guest co-host, and the two of them were working through a batch of fan-submitted questions during the Q&A portion of the show. Samantha had been on the podcast before. She'd already built a reputation on the channel for her sharp delivery, her willingness to roast her father on camera, and her tendency to say things that made Stephen A. visibly regret inviting her. Viewers tuning in knew the format. A fan asks something, Samantha answers, Stephen A. reacts. That was the rhythm. Then the question came. A fan wanted to know whether Samantha hated LeBron James.
Do I hate LeBron James? I'm about to get clipped for this. Y'all.
On paper, it's a throwaway fan question, but in the context of everything that had been happening between her father and LeBron throughout 2025, it landed differently. The courtside confrontation at Madison Square Garden was still fresh. The back and forth on Pat McAfee's show, the Taylor Swift tour run comment, the boxing video LeBron posted on Instagram with the "whoomp whoomp" caption, all of it was still circulating online. So when the fan asked Samantha if she hated LeBron James, the room shifted a little. Stephen A. leaned back. Samantha paused. And then she answered, but her answer didn't go where anyone expected it to go. Samantha started off carefully.
I gotta tread carefully here. I went to a Cavaliers game against Golden State. Great player, I'm just gonna leave it there.
For a second, it looked like she was going to dodge the question entirely. She was managing it. She was being diplomatic. She was doing exactly what someone in her position should do when their dad is in the middle of a public feud with the most famous basketball player on the planet. Then she pivoted, and the pivot was the part that broke the internet.
I remember Bryce James, right? He's a great player, right? And there's Bronny too, but I remember I used to have the biggest crush on Bryce James like a year ago. So it was really awkward when there was like a lot of beef just between Bryce and I. He doesn't know who I am. That was difficult for me, to deal with.
That was the sentence. That was the moment. Stephen A. Smith's 17-year-old daughter, sitting next to him on his own show, on his own platform, in front of his own audience, admitted that she used to have a crush on the son of the man her father had been feuding with for most of the year. And she didn't just mention it in passing. She said it was the biggest crush she'd ever had. She said it was like a year ago. She added that it had been really awkward for her personally because of the beef between her dad and Bryce's dad. She even phrased it like there was a beef between Bryce and I, even though Bryce, by her own admission seconds later, doesn't know who she is. Stephen A.'s face went through several stages in real time. The first stage was confusion. He looked at his daughter. His eyebrows moved up. His head tilted slightly, the way someone's head tilts when they think they've misheard something. The second stage was disbelief. He said, "What?" out loud. Just one word. One syllable, short and sharp. The third stage was the dad mode lockdown. His jaw tightened. He stopped smiling. He put his chin in his hand and just stared. Samantha, reading the room immediately, pivoted again.
What?
I'm joking.
You better be.
Yeah.
You better be.
He has a girlfriend now, her name's Sadie, she's gorgeous.
She added, almost like she was performing damage control, that she didn't hate anybody, and that her dad wasn't a hater either.
I don't hate anybody, just for the record.
My dad's he's not a hater, you guys. I'm just gonna leave it there.
She said, some things are better left unsaid, he says enough. One last jab at Stephen A. before moving the show along. But the damage was already done. Stephen A. was visibly thrown off. For the rest of the segment, his posture changed. He was quieter. He let Samantha run more of the conversation. He looked, in the words of basically every fan who reacted to the clip online, like a man who needed 5 minutes alone to process what had just happened. The clip, which ran about 60 seconds, was cut into a standalone video almost immediately. Within hours of the episode dropping, it was on X, on Instagram Reels, on TikTok, on YouTube Shorts, on World Star Hip Hop, and on Reddit. The captions wrote themselves: Stephen A. Smith going crazy, Stephen A. Smith stressing, Stephen A. Smith in fatherly panic mode, Stephen A. Smith caught lacking. Every sports media account with a reactions page picked it up. WorldStar posted it under the headline, Stephen A. Smith caught stressing after his daughter, Samantha admits to having a massive crush on LeBron James' son Bryce. Complex and Yahoo ran articles titled, Stephen A. Smith cringes when his daughter says she had biggest crush on LeBron's son. Times of India called it, Stephen A. Smith loses it after daughter Samantha admits having a crush. Bro Bible covered the exact quote in detail. TalkSport ran its own detailed breakdown a day later, laying out the full exchange line by line for readers who'd only seen the shorter clips. The comment sections on every one of those posts followed the same pattern. Fans joking that LeBron James might one day become Stephen A. Smith's in-law. Fans pointing out that this was the single worst possible thing Samantha could have said given the timing. Fans asking whether Bryce himself had seen the clip and whether he was going to respond. Reddit threads in r/NBA Talk pulled in over 1,700 upvotes on a single post titled, Stephen A. Smith's daughter said she used to have a crush on Bryce James. Screenshot accounts on X were pulling stills of Stephen A.'s face and pairing them with punchlines about his feud with LeBron. A still of him with his chin in his hand and his eyes locked on Samantha became a reaction image that got used for weeks afterward for anything unrelated to the original moment. People were using it to react to bad trade news. People were using it to react to football games. The face itself became its own meme, detached from the reason it existed. And now, months later, the clip is doing another lap around the internet. New captions, same footage, the exact same 60 seconds of Samantha saying she had a crush on Bryce James and her dad looking like he wanted to leave the studio. But the question everyone is asking, the question driving the headlines, the reposts, and the reaction videos, is whether anything has actually changed since that moment first aired. Is there new footage? Is there a new angle? Is there something between Samantha and Bryce that pushed this story back into the feed? Or is Stephen A. Smith reacting to something else entirely? To answer that, we have to start with the person who set all of this off, the 17-year-old who walked into her father's studio and blew up his week with one sentence. Samantha Smith, the daughter who keeps hijacking her father's show. To understand why Stephen A.'s reaction hit the way it did, you have to understand who Samantha Smith is on that podcast, because she isn't just a daughter making a guest appearance. She's a recurring force on the show who has, over the last year or so, quietly become one of its most popular segments. When she shows up, the episode numbers spike. When she leaves, people ask when she's coming back. She's 17, born on August 27, 2008, and she's Stephen A.'s youngest. His older daughter, Nyla, has stayed out of the spotlight almost entirely. Stephen A. has historically been protective about his family, raising both girls as a single father after his divorce and keeping their lives off camera. Samantha is the exception, and she's an exception because she walked into the spotlight on her own terms. She made her breakthrough appearance in June 2025, when Stephen A. brought her on as a co-host for a special NBA Finals father-daughter episode. The Thunder were playing the Pacers. The premise was simple. She'd give her picks, he'd give his, they'd banter. What nobody expected, including Stephen A., was that Samantha would treat the appearance like she'd been doing it for years. That episode set the template. From that point forward, every appearance Samantha made on the show became content. In late June 2025, during another episode, she casually shouted out a friend named Jaylyn during the live YouTube stream. Stephen A. froze. He asked, "Who's Jaylyn?" She laughed and covered her mouth. He asked again, "Who's Jaylyn?" She explained that Jaylyn was an actor she called very successful. Stephen A. clenched his fist. The clip went viral as Stephen A. Smith finds out his daughter has a guy friend. Fans pointed out that this was the exact same energy he'd later bring to the Bryce James moment, the same father-in-shock posture, the same refusal to let a name slide past him without an explanation. Samantha's public style across all her appearances has been consistent. She's fast. She's unfiltered. She's willing to say the thing that makes a producer wince. Fans on X, Reddit, and in the YouTube comments have called her Stephen A 2.0 and the female version of Stephen A and the reason I watch the show now. Her Instagram at official.samanthasmith has grown significantly since the June episode. She's done some acting. She's appeared on First Take in September 2025, specifically to roast her dad's outfit. She teased him about his jeans, asking, "You paint them jeans on?" and leaving the panel laughing. In October 2025, she appeared on an episode with Stephen A.'s nephew Josh, where the two of them joked about inheriting Stephen A.'s money while he was still alive. Every appearance adds to the same portrait. Samantha is confident on camera. She knows how to read an audience. She knows exactly what buttons to push on her father, and she knows that if she says something unexpected, it will travel further than anything her dad says in the same episode. Bryce James, the quieter brother, caught in a story he didn't ask for. Bryce Maximus James is 18 years old. He was born on June 14, 2007 in Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio. He's the middle child of LeBron and Savannah James, younger than Bronny, older than Jury, and he stands 6 feet 5 inches, about 3 inches taller than his older brother. He plays shooting guard. He shoots right-handed with what scouts describe as a soft touch and a quick release. He's currently enrolled at the University of Arizona, where he wears jersey number 6, and he spent the entire 2025-26 college basketball season in a red shirt, meaning he did not appear in a single regular season or tournament game. That is the entire on-paper profile of the young man whose name became a trending topic the moment Samantha Smith said it on her father's podcast. Bryce's path to Arizona was a much quieter version of the one his brother took. He spent all 4 years of high school at Sierra Canyon School in Chatsworth, California, the same school Bronny attended, but where Bronny was a McDonald's All-American and a top 100 recruit, Bryce was considered a 3-star prospect with late 4-star bumps. He was ranked somewhere around 257 to 284 nationally in most major recruiting databases, and around the 53rd best shooting guard in the state of California. As a senior, he averaged roughly 8 points and 4 rebounds per game on a loaded Sierra Canyon team that eventually won the CIF State Division I championship. His biggest high school moment came at the Spalding Hoop Hall Classic, where he dropped a career-high 16 points on 6 of 10 shooting from the field and 4 of 7 from 3, grabbed 5 rebounds, recorded 4 steals in 17 minutes off the bench, and was named game MVP in an upset win over Grayson of Georgia. He was invited to the USA Basketball Men's U17 national team training camp in June 2024. His commitment to Arizona was announced on January 1st, 2025, and he officially signed on April 17th, 2025, picking the Wildcats over offers from Ohio State and Duquesne. That's the resume. A solid but unspectacular high school career, a 3-star recruiting ranking, a Final Four college program with a loaded roster, and a redshirt freshman year with no regular season minutes. If Bryce's last name were anything other than James, he would be one of hundreds of promising developmental prospects parked on a good college roster, waiting for his chance. But his last name is James, and so every stat line, every minute, every practice clip, and every absence from a game is amplified to a level that the average 18-year-old college shooting guard will never experience. Coach Tommy Lloyd confirmed the redshirt decision in early February 2026, describing it as a strategic move, a way to preserve a year of eligibility and give Bryce more time to develop on a stacked roster. He told reporters the program wanted to protect him because of the certain scrutiny that comes with who he is. That scrutiny, it turns out, isn't theoretical. Bryce has been dealing with it his whole life, and in April 2026, it turned into a story of its own. During Arizona's run to the Final Four, reporters covering the team during open locker room sessions were physically blocked from approaching Bryce for interviews. Yahoo Sports' Dan Wolken reported that the media availability around Bryce was being dictated not by Arizona's athletic department but by LeBron James and Clutch Sports Group. A person described by reporters in the room as an enforcer, a bodyguard, or Clutch representative, not an Arizona staffer, stepped in to block access. Bryce, a redshirt freshman who had played 0 regular season minutes, declined all interviews. LeBron, meanwhile, was publicly supportive of Arizona's tournament run on social media. The story was called bizarre and unwarranted drama by some journalists, and defended as standard for redshirts and non-rotation players by others, including NBA.com's Kristen Peak, who compared it to how Texas handled Arch Manning. Coach Lloyd stepped in again, saying, "We love Bryce. We're going to give Bryce the space and opportunity to develop. We just want to protect him." The Final Four media block is the clearest example of what Bryce's life actually looks like. Every move around him is managed. Every access point is filtered. Every public moment is tightly controlled. This is the opposite of Bronny, who went through his NBA draft experience, his rookie season, his G League appearances, and his first full NBA year in full view of the media, with every minute broken down on First Take, on Undisputed, on every NBA podcast in existence. Bryce is being developed in silence, deliberately, and that silence is part of why the Samantha crush moment stuck to him the way it did, because the internet wasn't reacting to anything Bryce had said or done. Bryce hadn't said anything. He hadn't done anything. He was just a name that Samantha had dropped on her dad's show, and that name pulled an entire internet ecosystem of memes, articles, commercials and reaction videos into orbit around him. There is one other moment in Bryce's public history worth mentioning, because it gets at how he tends to handle the weirder side of being a James. In July 2023, when Bryce was 16, a fan and YouTuber approached him in a Target checkout line. The fan asked for a photo, then started flashing blood gang signs and pressuring Bryce to throw up blood for the picture. Bryce's response, caught on video and later spread across social media, was calm and flat. He said, "Nah, we ain't doing none of that," laughed it off, and posed for a regular photo instead. Security eventually stepped in. Fans praised him for handling it maturely and for refusing to play along. One X post in April 2026 tried to re-sensationalize the moment as the YouTuber pressing Bryce or threatening to jump him, but the contemporaneous video shows a 16-year-old calmly declining and walking away. It's a small moment, but it's one of the only data points the public has on how Bryce actually handles pressure, and it's consistent with how he's handled everything else. Quietly, without escalation, without public comment. His relationship status, which Samantha casually referenced in the clip, is apparently public-ish. Samantha mentioned that Bryce has a girlfriend named Sadie and called her gorgeous. This matches reporting from earlier in 2024 and 2025 that Bryce has been in a relationship that has occasionally surfaced on social media, but never been formally confirmed by him or his family. Bryce maintains two low-key Instagram accounts, at _justBryce and at Bryce Maximus James, and he has never used either of them to address the Samantha clip, the media block controversy, the gang signs incident, or any of the broader LeBron-Stephen A. drama. He has signed an NIL deal with Clutch Sports dating back to 2022. He has been projected by draft analysts as a possible late-round pick or undrafted free agent candidate in the 2027 NBA draft or later, though the redshirt year makes an earlier declaration highly unlikely. So Bryce James, in April 2026, is an 18-year-old redshirt freshman at Arizona who did not play a single regular season minute this year, who has one viral gang signs rejection clip to his name from when he was 16, who had his media access blocked during Arizona's Final Four run, who has a girlfriend named Sadie, who has been mentioned positively by Stephen A. Smith multiple times over the years, who had his name casually turned into an internet punchline by the daughter of that same Stephen A. Smith, and who has said absolutely nothing about any of it, public, in private. When Samantha said Bryce's name on her father's show, and when the clip started traveling across every sports media channel in the country, the young man at the center of it was a 17-year-old, at the time, who had never publicly said a word about Stephen A. Smith, Samantha Smith, or any element of the feud between his father and her father. He didn't post about it. He didn't like a post about it. He didn't repost a joke about it. He stayed exactly where he's been for the last several years of his life, out of the public eye, letting his father's team manage the optics and focusing on basketball, which only made the clip hit harder because the internet filled the silence on his end with every joke, meme, and hypothetical it could generate. And all of it was happening against the backdrop of something that had been building between Stephen A. Smith and LeBron James for over a year. A feud that, by the time Samantha's crush line dropped, had already turned into one of the biggest NBA media stories of the decade. The feud that made Samantha's joke hit like a bomb. The reason the crush admission generated the reaction it did isn't just that Stephen A. is a protective father. It's that, at the exact moment Samantha said Bryce's name, her father was deep in a feud with Bryce's father. Not a theoretical feud, not a Twitter feud. A real, public, physical, on-the-record feud that had already produced courtside confrontations, dueling podcast appearances, and an Instagram troll post from one of the most famous athletes on the planet. To understand why one sentence from a 17-year-old broke the internet, you have to understand the full arc of the Stephen A. Smith-LeBron James feud as it stood on August 19th, 2025. The public phase of the feud started on January 28, 2025. On that morning's edition of First Take, Stephen A. Smith went on what is now known as the pleading monologue. He spent several minutes talking about Bronny James, who was in the middle of his rookie season with the Los Angeles Lakers. He praised LeBron as one of the top 2 or 3 players in the history of basketball. Then he pivoted. He said directly into the camera, "I am pleading with LeBron James, as a father. Stop this. Stop this. We all know that Bronny James is in the NBA because of his dad. You're exposing your son like this." He argued that Bronny belonged in the G League to develop, that the NBA spotlight was cruel for him because of LeBron's fame, and that he was rooting for Bronny personally, but that LeBron's decisions as a father were making it harder for his son to succeed. The monologue went viral immediately. It was the framing, the as a father phrasing, that caught LeBron's attention. For about 6 weeks, nothing happened publicly. LeBron didn't respond. Stephen A. kept making his points. Then came March 6th, 2025. The Los Angeles Lakers were playing the New York Knicks at Crypto.com Arena. Stephen A. Smith was sitting courtside as a guest of Ari Emanuel of William Morris Endeavor, alongside Larry David. During a timeout in the third quarter, LeBron James, mid-game, in uniform, 40 years old, and clearly upset, walked off the court and straight over to Stephen A. Smith. The confrontation was captured on fan video and circulated within minutes. Lip readers and later confirmations established what LeBron said. According to Stephen A.'s own recounting, LeBron told him variations of, "Stop effing with my son. That's my effing son. Stop effing with my son." LeBron walked back to the Lakers bench. Stephen A. sat there. The game continued. Stephen A. addressed it the next morning on First Take. He was measured at first. He said,
That wasn't a basketball player approaching me. That was a father. That was a father protecting his son. And that I understood it.
He said he wasn't personally offended. He said he understood it as a dad. But he also made clear that he stood by what he'd said about LeBron's fatherhood decisions, not Bronny's game. He explained the situation in detail. He said he would have preferred the confrontation happen privately. He said LeBron's agent Rich Paul had his number, Maverick Carter had his number, and LeBron himself could have called him at any time. But LeBron chose to do it on camera, courtside, in the middle of a nationally televised game, and Stephen A. was never going to back down from that. In the days that followed, the feud escalated. Stephen A. went on Gilbert Arenas' podcast, Gil's Arena, with Rashad McCants, Kenyon Martin, and Nick Young. He appeared on Fox News. He said LeBron's approach had been weak and used stronger language. He said he would have immediately swung if LeBron had put hands on him, while acknowledging he would have gotten his ass kicked. Then came March 26, 2025. LeBron James appeared on the Pat McAfee show, and he broke his silence. He accused Stephen A. of missing the whole point. He said, "He's like on a Taylor Swift tour run right now. I didn't want to address it. I wasn't going to address it, but since the video came out, I feel the need to address it." Then LeBron laid out his actual position. He said any media member could criticize players for what they did on the court. That was part of the job. But when it got personal, when it got into his family, his household, his parenting, he drew a line. He mocked Stephen A. personally, saying Stephen A. would get home and grab some ice cream out of the King freezer and sit in his chair in his tighty whities on the couch. The next day, LeBron posted an old clip of Stephen A. attempting amateur boxing on Instagram with the caption, "Whoomp, whoomp, whoomp, poop," and 3 laughing emojis. Stephen A. responded across First Take and his YouTube show. He called LeBron a liar who lies a lot. He said LeBron was full of it. He made a reference to LeBron missing Dwyane Wade's Hall of Fame induction and Kobe Bryant's memorial service. He later had to apologize for the Kobe misstatement on X, clarifying that LeBron had actually attended. He also revisited his core point. He said he had never on Bronny. He said on his show,
And that bothered me all weekend long because I was trying to figure out when was I on his son. And that's why I decided to come back and revisit this today. Because something happened over the weekend that seemed fairly innocuous to you all, but not to me.
He pointed to a hot mic moment where LeBron, talking to Richard Jefferson, had said what really set him off was the as a father framing. Stephen A. took that as confirmation. He said,
What I was tempted to say, I was talking about you. We sit here more than a month later. I stand by what I said.
Throughout spring and summer 2025, the feud moved off the front page but didn't go away. Stephen A. continued to reference it. LeBron stopped engaging publicly. Carmelo Anthony and Dwyane Wade both reportedly spoke privately with each man, and noted that LeBron rarely confronts critics the way he confronted Stephen A. Saturday Night Live parodied it. Podcasters debated it. Stephen A. also used the moment on his own show and elsewhere to push back on something that had started bothering him even more than the LeBron confrontation itself. He said on his YouTube show,
I'm sick of that shit. I'm not backing up from that anymore. I'm not taking it from people anymore. I'm not just a black man, I'm a brother. I'm not gonna take this shit from people anymore.
He argued that the LeBron confrontation had been weaponized by some current and former players to accuse him of hating on the brothers, and he was not willing to accept that framing. He brought up his work as the ambassador for HBCU Week. He brought up the scholarships he'd helped fund. He brought up his role in diversifying First Take at ESPN. He was, through spring and summer 2025, actively pushing back on the narrative that the LeBron moment revealed anything about his character beyond the facts of the feud. And then, in August 2025, just as the feud had started to cool, Samantha Smith walked into her father's studio and, on a fan cue and a question about whether she hated LeBron James, said the line about Bryce. The context is what made it land. If Samantha had said she had a crush on a random NBA player's son, it would have been a funny moment, maybe a headline or two. But the James family had already been the center of her father's professional life for 7 months. LeBron had walked up to her dad on national television and yelled at him. LeBron had mocked him on Pat McAfee's show. LeBron had posted a humiliating video of him on Instagram. Stephen A. had spent weeks of his life defending himself, clarifying his position, and refusing to back down. And then, in the middle of all of that, his own daughter, on his own show, casually announced that she had once had the biggest crush of her life on the son of the man Stephen A. was publicly feuding with. The symbolism was almost too much. It was like the universe had written a punchline specifically designed to destroy Stephen A. Smith in real time. And the internet, which had been following the feud in detail all year, saw the punchline and seized it. The truth about the new footage and where this story actually ends. This is where the story has to settle down and meet the facts as they actually are, because the headlines circulating online in April 2026, the ones calling this clip new footage, the ones claiming Stephen A. Smith is going crazy after something fresh dropped, are not describing anything that actually happened recently. There is no new footage of Samantha Smith and Bryce James. There is no photo. There is no video. There are no DMs. There is no confirmed interaction of any kind between Samantha and Bryce, now or at any previous point in their lives. The footage currently going viral is the same 60-second clip from the August 19th, 2025 episode of the Stephen A. Smith Show. The same Q&A segment. The same, I remember Bryce James, right? The same, I'm joking. The same, you better be. Every single frame of it is over 8 months old. What has changed is the context. The clip has been recirculated repeatedly since it first aired, heavily through the fall of 2025, and then again in bursts across X, Instagram Reels, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and Facebook in the first 2 weeks of April 2026. Some of the most viewed reposts are from accounts that routinely repackage old viral moments with new, more aggressive captions. The captions have gotten more dramatic over time. What started as Stephen A. panics after daughter admits crush has become Stephen A. Smith goes crazy after new footage goes viral. The footage isn't new. The word new is doing enormous work in those captions. That's what's driving the reposts, a recycled clip with a rewritten headline. There's also a second layer to why this clip is moving again. The Bryce James media block story during Arizona's Final Four run in early April 2026 pulled his name back to the top of sports search results. Every story about Clutch Sports restricting media access, every column about LeBron's influence on his son's college program, every reaction piece about how Arizona handled it, all of it put Bryce James back into the feed. And when aggregator accounts on X and Instagram search their archives for Bryce James' viral clip, the Samantha Smith crush moment is near the top of the pile, so it gets reposted. The recirculation isn't a coincidence, it's algorithmic. Bryce's name trends because of Arizona, and the clip rides the wave. As for the James family, Bryce, Bronny, and LeBron, none of them has ever publicly addressed the Samantha clip. Not once. Not in an interview, not on Instagram, not on X, not in a post-game quote, not on any podcast. Bryce has never acknowledged Samantha, never mentioned her name, never engaged with any of the memes. Samantha's own line in the clip, "He doesn't know who I am," has turned out to be accurate. Bronny, who was the actual subject of his father's confrontation with Stephen A., has never commented on Stephen A. Smith at all, let alone this specific family joke moment. LeBron has never addressed it. The only thing LeBron has ever responded to, publicly, is Stephen A.'s original January 29th monologue about Bronny, and he addressed that on Pat McAfee in March 2025. The daughter crush clip does not exist in the James family's public record. They've treated it exactly the way Samantha predicted they would, like it doesn't involve them. Stephen A. himself has also not gone back to it. He hasn't done a follow-up segment. He hasn't explained or relitigated the moment. He hasn't responded to the April 2026 recirculation at all. In interviews since August 2025, he's focused on basketball, on the LeBron feud status, on Luka Doncic, on NBA trade deadlines, on his own contract extension with ESPN, but the daughter clip doesn't come up. Samantha has continued making occasional appearances on the show, and those appearances continue to generate moments. But the Bryce line storyline itself has not been revisited. Stephen A. has talked about his relationship with LeBron on longer format shows since. In a February 2026 interview with Graham Bensinger, he said flatly, "We don't like each other. The world needs to know that." He crossed the line with the incident involving his son. He also admitted in the same interview that time heals things, that LeBron is one of the greatest ever, and that his daughters personally love LeBron, a line he has repeated several times across 2025 and 2026. The Bryce-specific moment, though, has not come up in any interview he has given. There's also the question of why accounts keep recirculating the clip now, rather than 3 months ago or 6 months ago. The answer is partly the Arizona Final Four run, which put Bryce back in search traffic in the first week of April 2026. But it's also partly that Stephen A. Smith is one of the most consistently searched personalities in sports media. Anything involving him moves. When he's in the news for a contract extension, his old clips move. When he's in the news for a trade deadline take, his old clips move. When his name is trending for any reason at all, the algorithm starts pulling his most engaged with older content up toward the top of feeds. The Samantha Bryce clip is near the top of that list, so every time Stephen A. is in the news for anything, the clip takes another trip around the block. It's not that new footage exists, it's that the old footage keeps getting attached to new moments. That brings us to the end of this video. For more interesting videos like this, click on the cards on your screen.